You're on.
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, family. Welcome to This Week in Black America. And here's a rundown of the past week's highlights. Uh, Trump issues an executive order ramping up police powers. What could go wrong with that? Uh, Civil rights leaders rally around the National Museum of African American History. We'll get into what's happening on that front. Uh, the Republican administration completed its first 100 days. And we're going to look back at the whirlwind that has been Trump 2.0. And there seems to be growing support for Burkina Faso's leader, Ibrahim Traore. And there's more conversation going on about African unity. We want to get into that a little bit. And finally, Trump backs Stephen A. Smith for a potential presidential run. No, seriously, that wasn't a joke.
That wasn't a joke.
All that and more on This Week in Black America. I got my brother Deshone here with me. How you doing this afternoon, brother?
I feel great. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm excited. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. We are live on the Brother Deshone channel, as well as the Hello Black America pages on both YouTube and Facebook. We do this show every Friday, Eastern Standard Time. And our goal is to catch you up on what you missed. We also get some phenomenal co-hosts that come in and check in with us in the virtual studio audience. And sometimes they bring stuff that we missed. So if you caught something this week that we didn't catch, make sure you leave it in the chat. But this is where we talk about these things so that we're always on point. If you're new here, hit the like button. If you're going to spend a couple minutes with us, we invite you to subscribe. So a lot to talk about. Why don't you cue us up, Curtis, because we have no time to waste this week.
Yes. So, there's always a lot of activity with this Trump 2.0, but just yesterday, I believe, or actually within the last couple of days, Trump signed an executive order just basically ramping up police powers, if you will, ramping up a police state, as the Rolling Stone article talks about. And the order actually directs government to provide legal resources to police officers who are accused of wrongdoing. So just let that sink in for a second. So officers that they know have done something wrong, something that's problematic, something that's illegal, he has now signed an executive order basically saying that's okay. Now, we've heard Donald J. Trump talk about during his campaigning times, talking about the police not treating people nicely. We've seen the clips of that. He's also made some threatening almost type of statements about basically a one-day purge with the police doing basically whatever they want. As I had said in the highlights, what could go wrong with this, Brother Deshone? What could go wrong here?
A lot. This is something that he ran on.
Right.
He wanted to give more power to the police to do their job and to enforce law and order. This isn't, it's funny to me, right? We see people who are surprised that he's doing exactly what he said he would do, and a good percentage of the country voted for him to do these things. But I talked to some of them and I say, how'd you feel? Hey, Trump's, he's just talking.
Right.
He's just talking. That's what he does. He's an entertainer. He's doing it to, rile things up. But, and he's showing us that no, it wasn't. I told you what I was going to do. I want to give police more power to enforce law and order. And now what we're looking at, guys, is the police state. So in our states, every state in this country is run individually. That's part of the fiber of this country. The federal government can't just come into a state and call shots. There's state government. And that's the beauty that prevents tyrannical control. Like, we are individually governed under a federal government, but it plays a role. In this particular case, President Trump is saying, look, I want police in every state to know that the federal government backs them. Whatever you need, this Rolling Stone article says it, we are investing more resources to make sure. There's a specific part that I want to read here. It says, he signed an executive order ramping up his efforts to embolden law enforcement across the country and shield them from accountability. So again, the 95% of police officers that are good people, let's just be super conservative here and assume, because we all have family that are cops, or we know someone who's a cop or law enforcement. And let's just assume 9 out of 10 are upstanding people with good morals and self-control, and they don't have post-traumatic stress, or they don't have, even though they, they're in a very traumatic profession, let's just assume 9 out of 10, but that 1 out of 10 who needs to be checked, who needs to be held accountable, who is suffering from some type of mental disorder, who actually does not like people of a certain color or race or religion, he's now including them in, hey, just in case you have a bad day at work, hey, you shot 2 people, you killed one of them was a child, hey, we got you though.
I question your numbers as far as 9 out of 10, but I get it.
Just trying to be conservative here. That's it. We're being super conservative.
That is super duper conservative. But I don't know. It's just that Trump's asking like law firms to do pro bono work to protect these officers. We've talked about before, and it bears repeating. There are some occupations where there's really no margin of error. You don't want people who have the power to take your life to be in a position where if a mistake happens, that they're not held accountable. We've talked about pilots. Nobody wants a 9 out of 10 pilot. There's because if you're the 1% or if you're the 1 out of the 10, yeah, that's not a good day. So clearly there are some occupations that don't allow for a margin of error, and I happen to think that police officers are one of them, when they actually hold the power of life and death on the sides of the bodies in a lot of cases. So this is troubling on a lot of different levels, but it's in alignment with what we're seeing this administration do. They're moving more towards protecting those that are already in power. They are moving towards dismantling the rights for others of us, and it's disturbing. It's disturbing, and I guess that's what it's designed to be, is disturbing, frankly.
What are some of the, let's just say, we're big, Curtis, on playing out the worst case scenarios, hoping they don't happen, and then sometimes we actually see them playing out. What are some of the worst case scenarios you think of police having more power?
Well, I think that 47 has already laid it out for us, right? He fantasized about a day of law enforcement basically doing whatever it is they want. And this sort of executive order would give them the same kind of power that the Supreme Court gave the president, that anything that he does in office essentially is okay, as long as it's part of his official presidential act. So the Supreme Court has given this sort of power to the chief executive, and now it appears that he's trying to trickle it down to his minions, who he is thinking are going to do, the work for him of keeping people in line. Now,
and I want to play that clip, Curtis, because you just mentioned it, but in case people aren't familiar about President Trump's suggestion of a purge, let's just play that clip.
That's what it is.
She's there for almost 4 years, and I just Donald Trump knew
just hold on. We just had it up. There we go. Hold on.
She's there for. That's about it. That's about it. You want to buy aspirin? They just take everything that the Border Patrol wants to get in something and send. Violent day like.
There we go.
They didn't want to go over the $950. They're standing with calculators, adding it up. You know, these are smart people. They're not so stupid, but they have to be taught. Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge, Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day. Mike, would you say, right here, he's a great congressman. Would you say, Mike, that if you were in charge, you would say, oh, please don't touch them. Don't touch them. Let them rob your store. Let all these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent. Then the city doesn't have it's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately.
One rough hour. So if for those of you who've seen the movie Purge, again, I played this so people could understand that those of you who say, oh, he's just talking. Here we are. That clip was posted in September before he was elected. Here we are in May. And it is the actions to lead to that one rough day. So, yeah, he's just talking, though. He's just talking.
I hear that refrain so often from people who support him, and it's just ridiculous because he's not just talking. But because because he is so hyperbolic, or he's so, he's just verbose. He's just, he's just this big voice. And I think people equate that to just bluster, the fact that he's just talking, but everything he's doing is actually supporting the things that he said he's going to do. And you gotta, it's a difficult tightrope to walk because the man has sometimes shown a propensity to not lean on the truth heavily. But by the same token, he's saying these things because there's some truth to them. Oh, I see you flexing your shirt there. Okay. All right.
Hey, new uniform. Y'all know you got less than 3 years. We're talking about a national day of purge, a national hour where they can kill anyone they want, and it's sanctioned and by the president. You got 3 years. There's no coincidence that the word Exodus says, that doesn't say exit. That's exit us. Exit us. Exit U.S.
I feel like Bob Marley should be playing in the background now, but.
All right. So enough on that one. You say what? Because we got a ton. What's next on the horizon?
Well, listen, there's all types of stuff going on. Be watchful, folks. Be vigilant, because there are things happening around you. If you're not paying attention, there are citizens being shipped out. There are citizens being detained. There are people with legal status in this country being either detained or otherwise harassed. There is things, I'm sure, that this America doesn't look like the America any of us remember, but it's happening. So, you got to stay watchful, and we keep telling people to do that. Now, there are a bunch of civil rights leaders who are basically bringing a call to action. I know you're familiar with, and you've just actually recently gone to the museum down there in DC dedicated to African American history. So the National Museum for African American History. If you haven't been there, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you get there, and you might want to go soon because apparently old 47 here is doesn't like the museum, but I think he says that it shows the negative part of American history, and he doesn't like that. And apparently there's a lot of people who don't like that. That's basically the backdrop. They're trying to take some they're trying to dismantle some funding for the African American Museum, and civil rights leaders looks like they're trying to call people to action around that. First of all, what are your thoughts on just the overall subject of the museum itself? I know it's kind of probably fresh in your mind as far as the power of that museum. Kind of give us your thoughts on that first off.
We were in Virginia 3 weeks ago. If you don't know, the National Museum of African American History and Culture opened in 2016. Who's been there? Let us know in the comments if you've been to that museum in DC. Incredible experience, absolutely incredible, from every single display and every part of the Black American history and you know, the transatlantic slave history. It's documented. Right. It's beautiful. It's a very emotional experience, but there's just a lot of truth on towns we built, a lot of truth on, you know, from you know, every era from the time that we were brought here. But one of the parts that you get to is you get to this simulated sit-in area, and they're simulating what it was like to be at these lunch counters, and you can choose your experience. You can choose whether you want to go through a bus boycott or sitting. It's an amazing thing. So we did that, right? And then less than a week later, I find out that President Trump has ordered that particular exhibit to be removed.
Oh, wow.
So that was like, whoa. And the reason me and my family made an effort to get there is because we were hearing the rumors. Right. You know, he already appointed himself, I believe, chairman over that. What's the art facility down there by him? The
Kennedy Center?
The Kennedy Center, thank you. So once he started doing that, there was kind of rumors that he was going to be looking into anything having to do with the arts, and especially concerning something that represents our culture and our history. And that's why we made ways to get down there. I would implore anyone who's in the vicinity to get there so that you can see it, because the things that are there are most likely not going to be there, because if that lunch counter is gone, that's a huge part. I mean, relative to the scope of the museum, it's a small part, but it is a powerful part to take out. So I was very, very shocked to hear, you know, you can know something is going to happen or hear that it's going to happen. It doesn't make it easier when it happens. and so it's like, whoa, you know, it's really happening. So I would implore everyone to get there. You went there when it first opened, Curtis. So, you know, yeah. What was that experience like when you saw it?
It was just powerful. That's the word that keeps coming to mind. Some of the exhibits, seeing some of the hardware that was used to transport enslaved Africans to this country. Some of the Emmett Till exhibit. I don't know if you got to that one or not, but the Emmett Till exhibit was just so powerful. You're not even allowed to take pictures down there, but it was powerful. And then you go through and you get all the way up to the top and you see all the accomplishments, all the things that we have achieved in spite of all of these efforts to diminish us, to erase us from history. Our impact cannot be erased from this country. This country is not this country without the input, without the accomplishments of African Americans. And it's sad, it's tragic, it's criminal. I'll dare say, to try and erase all that the African Americans have brought to this country, and the way that we are so weaved into the tapestry of America. It is criminal, I think, to try and remove that. And it's part of a bigger plan, unfortunately. So, yeah. But what I was wondering, and if
these stories don't have a happy ending, y'all. I know sometimes y'all be waiting and y'all be like, okay, yeah, that's the bad news, but it has some light at the end of the tunnel. No, the tunnel gets darker. So sometimes we just have to report on things and leave it there. Go ahead.
Here's the light. We have enough black people of means. We have enough people who support our culture and history. Why don't a few of these rich folks get together, set up some sort of endowment similar to what we see in colleges to make sure that this museum is able to function in perpetuity without having to worry about people like DJT coming in and deciding that his sensibilities are hurt and he doesn't want to hear about the terrible things that this country has done. The one thing is kind of an aside. The one thing that I find interesting is that so many people are hurt by the fact that we're saying this history, which means that they seem to gravitate to those parts of history.
Yeah.
So white folks are, you hear them saying, well, I never held slaves. Why are you even identifying with the slave owners? Why don't you identify with the abolitionists? Why don't you identify with the Quakers who were against slavery? Why do you feel like you've got to protect your kids from identifying with those that enslaved us? There was actually a very small portion of the country that had, that owned slaves. There were other folks who were unmelanated who just couldn't afford to have slaves. And of course, if you don't know, that's the real division here in America, is the haves and the have-nots. The skin color was a distraction. That whole race thing was a distraction.
DC Old Fly checking in, says she hasn't been to the exhibit yet, but it is on her bucket list.
Well, she need to get her bucket on up here, because she can swing on up here, go to DC and come on up and say hello to the fam in Jersey.
And then, for those of you who don't know, this is Curtis's sister. Why is Curtis talking to one of the co-hosts in the audience like that? They family.
Because I'm the older brother and I get that right. And that's what it is. So
Get Black Whitney checking in. Great to see you.
Get Black Whitney. Love to see Get Black Whitney join us each and every week. Listen, there's all types of stuff going on, and we're going to keep you abreast of it. If you're not aware, we just went past on, was it Monday or Tuesday, the 100th day of the Trump administration, right? I don't know who made up the first 100 days, why that is the specific line of demarcation, but we've gone 100 days. I know it seems like 100 years. It really does. But it's only been 100 days. I do want to make the point, and I know that people feel certain ways about making this parallel, but it took less than 100 days, I believe, for fascist Germany to kind of fall. So don't undermine or don't diminish that it's only been 100 days. Let's wait and see. It doesn't take long, and we're seeing it right before our eyes. They're dismantling things that took years and years and years to develop, and he's managed to dismantle them within 100 days. That should be problematic for most of us. We've seen all types of between the tariffs, all these conflicting executive orders, things that he puts out and then get retracted, things that he puts out to get blocked by judges, all of this types of things that we're seeing. Even now, and this is more recent, I think even this morning or yesterday, no more NPR or PBS. I know you're a fan. I'm a fan of PBS as well.
Raise me.
You can't even get news from PBS anymore?
Raise me.
Oh my goodness.
Just put Big Bird on a daggone guillotine. Why don't you? Let's just Bob Ross, dig him up.
They don't like Big Bird.
Left-wing radicals.
Listen,
Big Bird
Sesame Street's on the chopping block because they teach unity and respect for other inclusivity.
Except Oscar the Grouch, because I do feel like they really, this is a homeless guy. Like, I mean, nope, everybody eating. And anyway. But yeah, this is it reminds me, you said something in reference to how quick Hitler dismantled the German democracy. Or, not to say it's a democracy, but every system they had to protect against someone like him, it took him days. I think the reports are something like 53 days.
Right.
But it reminded me of this film you shared. It's a project called Bad Faith. I would love to hear who's seen it. It's on Amazon Prime. If you've seen Bad Faith, let us know what you thought about it. Because the minute Curtis told me about it, I watched it and I said, okay, let me see. When I tell you I was hooked the whole time, because what you're going to see when you watch this is that this Project 2025 thing, this right-wing evangelical Christian movement to take over this isn't recent. This is a very, very long plan, and they didn't have the leader. They didn't have someone in power that would actually spearhead it. Now, here's the beautiful thing about Trump. The beautiful thing is he's using them. And what you're going to see in Bad Faith is when they anointed him, they basically said, all right, we're going to make a deal. Out of this deal, we're going to put Christian values in control. But he said, my part of the deal is I'm going to be in control and I'll give y'all, whatever you want, as long as it doesn't conflict with what I want. So you can kind of see, because he gets up one time, and I thought this was very interesting, Curtis, and he said, listen, I did a lot for y'all.
Yeah.
He said, look, you guys owe me because I did a lot for y'all. So I think the presentation to Trump was, you're going to be our figurehead, and we're going to put everyone behind you. And who wins out of this thing remains to be seen, because I don't think Trump's loyal to anyone. But when we consider why these Christians are putting so much energy into him, considering he doesn't act like a Christian, doesn't speak like a Christian, doesn't love like a Christian, doesn't talk about Jesus. Every time he talks, 2 Corinthians. Hey, I don't like to talk about it. It's personal. But what are you, a more Old Testament guy? New Testament?
Can't name one scripture.
A little bit of both, So these are the things where he had to play this role to get that backing from them. He got it, and now we'll see, like I said, what's going to happen in the long run. But Bad Faith, I recommend everyone see it. It will answer a lot of your questions concerning why these right-wing evangelical Christians support him so much. Curtis,
please use air quotes when you use the word Christians with regard to these people, because there isn't any Christ in them. There's no Christ within them. You can see it because you can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. And I'm in a time where I'm just committing more time to reading the scripture and understanding what the scripture says. And, I'm reading a whole lot about taking care of the aliens, about caring for the least of these. I'm rereading the gospel specifically. And perhaps 47 hasn't gotten to the part in the Bible about the gospel. Maybe he's still in the Old Testament. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He may still be stuck in the Old Testament wrath, eye for an eye, God. He may be stuck in that part of the Bible. I'm going to encourage him and anyone of his ilk to move forward into the Gospels. Matthew is actually a pretty short book. Take a look at it. Specifically right around chapter 5, 6. All the letters should be in red. Pretty much all the wording there should be in red. That, just for breaking this down, in case you didn't know, the red just means that's Jesus. Jesus, the Son of God, the one who came here, died for our sins, rose again, ascended to heaven. That Jesus is those are his letters, those are his words in the red. Pay attention to those. Stay, try and gauge your life around what those are saying. And I think you're in good shape. That can pretty much tell you that you are actually a Christian because you were actually following the words of Christ.
I think he might have tore those pages out of his Bible. Anybody have the Trump Bible to know if...
I hope nobody says they have the Trump Bible, please.
Any Trump Bible holders, just to tell us maybe there is a difference. But yes, it's like you said, Curtis. Meraki on the check-in. Good to see you. Our brother Meraki on the check-in.
That's all right.
And some phenomenal comments coming in from the co-host Get Black With Me said he's a failure. They hitched their wagon to the wrong person. Now look at this, Get Black With Me, because she made another comment. I'm sure Heritage Foundation has been shopping this thing around for a minute.
Absolutely.
And Bad Faith, you'll see that one of the pioneers, pretty much the pioneer, he was pushing for a minute to try to find who was going to be, like he even before he passed away. And this is how you knew. I found it, listen, I don't wish bad on anyone. I found it interesting. This guy, it starts out so evil where you could just see his agenda. And he's a young guy at the time, relatively young, right? And by the end of it, he's in a wheelchair. He can't walk. I'm watching. I'm like, whoa, is he in a wheelchair? And he's still spewing evil. It's kind of like life is hitting him. He can't. He's in a wheelchair, and I don't mean a regular wheelchair. I mean some type of wheelchair where it's like, one of those wheelchairs where you're like, whoa, what happened to you? Yeah. And he's still on it. Like, we gotta do more. We gotta do more. So, again, watch Bad Faith. I think I think it will help everyone to understand kind of like I said, why these right-wing Christians are backing him and what they are planning to get out of it, which is a theocracy, which is a nation of Christian nationalists. Really good thing. So
I wonder how many people who call themselves Christian would actually favor a theocracy. And because, I profess to be one who follows Christ, but I don't think I want to see because a theocracy basically is forcing people to do something that even Jesus never forces anybody to do, right? He wants people to come to him out of their own free will. And basically, now we would have a government that makes religion, wasn't the whole American Revolution behind religious freedom? Have we forgotten that? Here, 250 years later. So now all of a sudden we want to try and impose our values on others. I want everybody to be a Christian, right? Because I believe that those are the values that make us the best version of ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm. And you knock your mic out a little bit. Just give it a quick adjust.
Oh my, okay. Yep. Actually knocked it off. Sorry, thank you.
Yep, that's all right. You go ahead.
Yeah, so the fact of the matter is that I think that we would be all better people if we did follow Christianity. But as Meraki just put in, the extent of our it seems like the extent of our religion is the little blurb that we put on our money, "In God we trust," because that's our true religion here in America. I've said it before. I'm not backing off of that one because we see the fruit.
We understand. We understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
no theocracies. Listen, God doesn't want you to be a robot and be forced to have to follow him. He wants your heart to really be behind him. So that should be a hint that the people that are espousing this are not really Christians. I mean, they're not.
We're gonna do something God doesn't do.
Right.
Hey,
we're making up our own stuff.
Who's the savior now? Hey,
yeah.
Listen, this is what we are moving to. A religious government, merger of church and state. I said it months ago. We're going to see the merger of church and state. But what's so weird is we have a country that won't even. I found it interesting. Somebody said the way the Constitution is set up, you can't be the president if you were not born in America. Which means if Jesus came back tomorrow and said, "Okay, I'm going to be the leader of the U.S.," he cannot be the leader of the U.S. So again, we don't give. It's oil and water, which is why if we do the research, we'll find out that the U.S. was never set up to be a Christian country. This was never set up. The founding fathers were very, very clear. We are keeping that church stuff over there. We are not going to mix it with the governing of this state or the states. And somewhere along the lines, people say, hey, well, this was founded on Christian principles. Yeah, sure.
They put it in writing. If you bothered to read, they did actually put it in writing that this is not a Christian nation.
Very clear.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, as I always say.
Oh, and that's what listen, that's what the West will sell. They will sell a story.
Absolutely. That's one thing they're good at. Hey, if they don't manufacture anything, it's stories that they manufacture. And including a story about we're seeing some stories about Burkina Faso leader Ibrahim Traore. I love this man. Don't know him, never met him, but everything I read about him makes me more endeared to him because he has a heart for his people. He has a heart to block those who seek to take advantage of the resources in his country. I'm seeing more and more stuff. I don't know, maybe it's just because of the things I'm following now, but I'm seeing more and more things online, not only about Ibrahim Traore, but globally, we're starting to see a movement to make sure that this man is protected, to make sure that, and I personally have included him in my prayer life because I think it's important that, and I don't know whether he's a Christian. I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about any of that. But I feel like he is a beacon of light for the African continent to lead them in the right direction. For so long, they've been taken advantage of by the West in many ways, and frankly by some of their own leaders, right? Let's be honest about that as well. So to have somebody who seems to be wholeheartedly committed to the liberation and improvement of his people without being necessarily, it doesn't seem like he's subject to the corruption that we've seen in so many leaders, African and otherwise. I don't want to just put this on the continent of Africa because God knows we've got plenty of corrupt leaders right here in America. Some might even say, I'll let that go. But so
the rabbit holes just say it. Come on down, me. Come on down.
I'm looking with I got my flashlight. I keep looking to see what's down there. One of these days, I'm gonna go all the way in. But anyway, Ibrahim Traore, what are your thoughts on the momentum that I almost sense around protecting this man and calls to protect his life?
Get Black With Me, you referenced Get Black With Me. For those watching, she's one of our co-hosts. When you comment regularly, you share. We got Meraki, one of our regular co-hosts, and our brother. We got DCO Fly. You're not just in the audience, you are one of the co-hosts. And she made a reference about Thomas Sankara, who was assassinated a couple decades ago, and he was the many people are calling Captain Traore the like reborn with his spirit,
right?
And so you know, with everything being on the world stage now, nothing's hidden, which makes it hard for the West to do what they've done for the last 400 years. They've controlled the narratives. They've controlled the media. And now that the cover, all the veils are pulled off, people have cameras, everyone can see what's happening. it's really dampening their ability or damping their abilities to do what they've done. And so now you have this worldwide support for this young man who took control of the Burkina Faso government through a coup. He is not a politician, he's a soldier, but he is a leader. Right. And he has a vision for his country, potentially for the African continent, because now he's calling out the African Union. So these are not just, all right, we're going to mind our business here in Burkina Faso. That would be great enough because he's building it into something amazing, taking control of the natural resources, kicking France out. And then he's creating regional partnerships with Mali and with Niger. But now he has a voice. Now he's speaking out and inspiring all Africans and other African Americans. I was in church and I got a couple elders who every time they see me, and a lot of them are from the Caribbean. Not all. Hey, you see Traore this week? So I'm talking all eyes on this man. If you have not seen, if you're not following what he's doing, he is literally the de facto leader of Black everything.
Right.
Whether you're in the Caribbean, whether you're on the continent of Africa, whether you are a Black person in the diaspora, he is inspiring all of us because he's letting us know we don't need anyone. Everything we have is under our feet and around us. If we can get the people out who have been our hindrances, get the terrible people out of government who've been our hindrances, get the foreign imperialists out of our country who have, taken our natural resources. That's all we got to do. Simple planning, and the fact we're seeing him do it, and we know he's hated. Right. All of us can feel the thick hate that France has for him, the West has for him. General Langley, one of a Black man speaking out against him, who should be championing, rallying for him harder than anyone against him. So I think that's just making all Black people, or most of us rather, pull together and say, we're going to keep praying for this guy because we want 10 more Captain Traorés. Right. We need 8 more in Africa. We need more in the Caribbean. And that is what the West is afraid of. Us owning our resources, sharing amongst our people, creating wealth within our countries, that terrifies them.
Absolutely. And a couple points you made, he's a global leader. He's like one of those guys that, and we have to, as people, have to stop relieving the narratives that people are putting on us. Even our leaders, like in America, we've got Louis Farrakhan, right, who's a controversial leader, maybe on the order of a Traore. He loves his people, but he's controversial. People don't like seeing him say what he says, but the pride that people see when they look at him because they know he loves his people. He loves his people, and I see a similarity in Captain Traore. The fact that there's people really believe in him as a leader, and we as people, we as Black people globally, have to stop allowing the unmelanated to tell us who our leaders are. And the point that you made, which is great, is that now the veil is off. And we've seen the long history of the imperialist nations who take out African leaders who are progressive. We saw it with Patrice Lumumba, Sankara, that we talked about. There's a whole list of others who died under suspicious circumstances, who were leaders. We talk about Gaddafi. So all of these leaders, the one thing they have in common is they want liberation and liberation for their people and unity amongst not necessarily all the African. I'm not saying there needs to be the United States of Africa, but at least a cooperation amongst those nations to be self-determining of their own futures. And I think Traore gets it, as Get Black With Me states here. And again, as Get Black With Me states again, that Sankara set the blueprint And I am happy to see Traore follow it. America, we're watching. If Europe, we're watching. This man, if this man comes up missing, it's going to be problematic.
Jesus.
It's going to be problematic. And I hope that these leaders realize that they can't move the same way, because we're going to see it. We're going to see it within 24 hours. It's not like in the past when these things happen and then it takes a little while for maybe the message to get over to the American shores. We're going to see it in real time. And that's going to be problematic for those in power. So
let me, because you just brought up a point, and I want to know, did you guys see this? This was in New York. We're in New Jersey. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, they had a protest. Now, this is the people of Africa. Many of these people are from the continent of Africa, rallying in New York for the support of Captain Traore. Now, I want to play a little bit of this, and then I want to see, did anyone see this? Did anyone happen to attend it? Shout out to Cerebral. Now, listen, y'all got to help me because I don't want to butcher that name. Is that
Cerebral Pugilist?
Pugilist.
Yes.
Shout out to California checking in. Said, bruh, Traore is the business. And I can't stand the idea of mayonnated. Mayonnated thugs is crazy work. That melanated and mayonnated, that is genius. So you already, I already love you. I already love
oh my goodness,
because that is crazy.
Mayonnated.
Mayonnated is beautiful.
That is beautiful.
To do him harm.
Thank you.
So now I want to play this, and then I want to tell you something that is actually it scares me about this. I want to ask you guys a question, Curtis. I asked you, and this was yesterday.
Can keep its aid after Ibrahim Traore to defend it is the population that wants him. We are behind him. We are behind Captain Ibrahim Traore. We want a sovereign Africa. Rising tide is reaching every shore. And it won't.
So now this looks calm, but there were parts of it, and I'll see if we can find it, where it started getting pretty crazy.
I'm talking about the whole Africa. I'm not talking about South Africa. I'm not talking about Mozambique. I'm not talking about.
Okay, hold on. Now, okay, so now some of y'all, you can catch it on your own. There's many parts where they are chanting like very loud in protest. Now, here's my worry. Y'all know since the election, Black people, we've been chilling.
Yep.
And I think there's something in the air that we know they're trying to bait us. And especially we talked about maybe 15, 20 minutes ago, the new power coming to the police state, federal protection, more resources. And I think we know we've been staying the heck out of Dodge. Let our white brothers and sisters and let the people out there, y'all want to do that? Y'all want to rally, do all of that? Go ahead and do that. My fear with this is the first, Trump is not going to necessarily say, well, these are Black people from Africa,
right? And
we're going to distinguish them from the African American. This just looks like Black people protesting to them. Now, there's something, somebody says something on Twitter, and you guys, I really want your opinion on this, and I really want the co-host to tap in on this. We know midterms comes up in another 20 months. I told you guys that according to the prophecy, I don't believe Trump's leaving office. I believe this is the last president. I don't think we're going to see anything other than that. But how it happens, I don't know. Somebody wrote something on X, formerly Twitter, and said that President Trump's plan, just like he used a loophole to declare a time of war, it was a national crisis where all executive power now came to him, and he can do things without the oversight of Congress and without the oversight of the judiciary because of the loophole that his team found. Now, she said there's another loophole potentially where it will allow him to declare martial law.
Right.
And if he declares martial law, he can suspend elections.
Right.
So my worry is we see stuff like this happening. It puts the battery in his back. That's exactly what I wanted. Dispatch our police. Oh, we got national security issues. We got people protesting in all countries. And now, y'all see where I'm going with this?
Yep. And that was my concern when I first saw it, is like, because like you said, most of the black folks got the memo. American black folks got the memo. Hey, don't be out in them streets, because for the reasons you just laid out, he's looking for an excuse. If this was 2020, when the Black Lives Matter protests were going on, I guarantee you there would be military in the streets, right? The only reason we're not seeing that now is because most of those people that are protesting are unmelanated, and they're a little less, less likely to use force against their own. We see it all the time. Interactions with the police, etc. So they treat their people differently. So my fear is that, like you said, is they gonna see them African people in the street, and he ain't calling them Africans. They just N-words, and they in the street. And that means let's get the guns, let's get the troops, the tanks, whatever else we got. We're gonna roll it all out. We're going to declare martial law, and then all the other things that you described can take place. So it worried me, and even a little bit. I don't know if you got to this point or not, but when going back to the civil rights leaders about the museum, the National Museum of African American History, they're doing a march tomorrow I think it's in DC, and I was like, who set that up? Who decided that we're marching again? We're not on that yet. No, y'all didn't get the memo. There is a pause. We are doing a moratorium on black folks marching because we don't want to open the door for this man to say, y'all are wilding. We need to restore order. So
it reminds me of the episode of Martin when Pam, they was trying to get Pam to testify that she had saw the burglar, and she like, yo, I ain't seen Jack. Like, y'all ain't getting me in that. What? I thought we was all on the same page. I think about the picture of the women after sitting on top of the building, like, have your tea. We
absolutely.
Are chilling. Do y'all understand? We are chilling. We're not marching. We're not out here. Let's plot quietly, but let's not be in these streets.
We're building.
Now we in the streets.
No, get out them streets.
That shows somebody's out of touch. Some of our black leaders, if y'all think we're gonna protest this and get black with me, you are optimistic. I love your optimism. She said, did you see Scandal? Y'all watch Scandal? This thing ain't going nowhere. Listen,
I hope so.
My prayer is this: get black with me. Here's the thing. I pray you right.
Amen.
I want us to look up in 4 years and you be like, man, Brother Deshone was, telling us the worst case scenarios that could happen, because me and Curtis have been talking about this for months. We've been talking about these things before they even started heating up and saying, well, let's just play this out. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, this thing gets elected. Okay, and then this happens and we're watching our worst case play out. So if you think it's going to fizzle out, I pray you are right. I really pray you're right. I pray that he loses the House on the midterms. We get some more balance in the government. I pray that he loses the Senate majority. I pray that I pray for all of that. Well, but I haven't seen no signs that this is the train is picking up, and that's all I see. The train picking up steam and mowing people over, and that brings up why don't we cue up Amazon kissing and why don't we tell them what Amazon did this past week.
Listen, Amazon folded like a cheap suit, and Jeff Bezos, he's a rich man, he's a wealthy man, he's got a lot of money, he's up to on the order of an Elon Musk, along those same lines. He's got a little dough put away. So anyway, I don't know if you saw the social media post in this week where they posted basically a copy of a receipt that was supposedly representative of an Amazon order, and they were breaking out on the receipt the cost of the goods, and then broke it out as a separate line item, basically what the cost of the tariff was increasing the price by. And the example that I saw, I think it was like a $65 item that was getting an additional $89, I believe it was, tacked on in tariffs. And you saw, if you were watching, I think it was the Treasury Secretary was speaking in the briefing room a couple days ago, and then the press secretary, the woman, I forget her name, came up and basically said that this was a how did she term it? An unpatriotic attack, something like, I forgot the exact word she used, but she said that that this was unpatriotic. It was I gotta find the word she used, but anyway, she railed against the thing, and then later the same day, you see Amazon coming out with the statement, "Oh, we never had plans for this. This was a part of one of our businesses was considering it. It was never planned for the mainline Amazon business." And Jeff Bezos tucked his tail and went running. Why? I mean, Jeff Bezos, well, probably before Trump got into office, he probably had 2-3 times the wealth of Trump. Trump's probably closed the distance in the last 100 days because he's been stealing the money from, all types of people around the world. But what are you thinking about Jeff Bezos folding one of the biggest companies in the world, Amazon, right? Everybody uses Amazon. I should have stock in it, how much my wife uses it, but I digress. What are your thoughts on Amazon and the quick and abrupt about face as far as the way I would have loved the idea, frankly, of being able to see how much exactly the tariffs are increasing the price of my goods. But apparently Trump and the powers that be don't think that's a good idea.
Well, yeah, I think looking at what they wanted to do, which was start out at a subsidiary, I can't get my words together, a small segment of their company that is really large. It's like the Temu competitor under Amazon umbrella. They wanted to start there, not quite public facing, but I'm sure it would have graduated to, this is a mainstream thing because we are price conscious. Our sellers, our consumers are price conscious. That's how we got them. And so it made sense for them to understand that Amazon isn't just raising the price on that cool flashlight that we get that also has the rake on the bottom and the broom at the top. It used to be $30. It's $70 now. They want us to know that part of that is the tariffs. Now, when I look at, I'm curious, what do we think that President Trump has on these business owners? Why are you doing things that are not good business? Again, if you believe in the man as far as a leader of the country, have at it, do what you're going to do. But you are doing things they're specifically affecting our shareholders, our company, our profits, our public reputation. Because I think we're moving to no taxes. So I want to play both sides. I want to, share both sides of the positives and the negatives. I think we are moving to a day where we're not going to pay taxes. I think that's going to come through Trump coin. And I think when it comes to what I feel I'm not. If you have the ability to collect money as the president of the United States with no oversight. You can use that for good or you could use it for evil. It depends on what's in your heart. But right now, we do have a president who, and I want to tell you guys, Trump currency is your currency. Understand, Trump currency is your currency. It just has not been switched yet. So this isn't something that's coming. It's already here. And so now President Trump is trying to see, how can I replace this debt-ridden US dollar with my currency that has no debt attached to it? But mind you, until I figure that out, I'm still going to make money. As you guys, did some of you hear that I believe it was 225 people who he invited to the White House on the premise of, you hold the most Trump coin. You don't get the invitation because you're a political leader, because you have great ideas, because you are a world leader, because you can reform government in a way that we need, because you're a defense specialist, a monetary specialist, and no. Top holders of Trump coin get dinner at the White House. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they're from. We don't know their intentions or their motives. But that is the premise. So we already have a president who has made it clear, I have my own money coming to America. Who's seen Coming to America?
He got his own money.
Boy, he got his own money.
Yeah.
That's what we have. We have a president who has his own money. At the same time, he's running the country's money. So when I look at that, I say to myself, is the benefit later on a tax-free system? And that's why we'll take whatever this short-term whipping you're giving us, because I can't see any other reasons. Can anyone else think of the reasons why these captains of industry, strong men and women, like people who have more money than him, more influence than, not necessarily more influence, I don't think.
No, not right now.
No more influence, but definitely more money and resources. Why would they be bowing down to the point where it's hurting their business? Anybody else want to chime in on that? I'm all ears, because for the life of me, I can't understand it.
I have no thoughts on that at all, because I don't get it at all. I don't get it at all. It seems like they're just bowing down to a bully, and that's not the way I was taught to deal with a bully. So I don't get why people are just kind of bowing down, puckering up, and lining up to pucker up behind Trump. But help is on the way, because there's more and more talk of Stephen A. Smith possibly running for president next time. And I'm sure that he will solve all the country's problems should he be elected the next president. And clearly he is qualified, because the current president has actually backed his potential presidential run. So clearly this man is being teed up as the next leader of the free world. Help is on the way, America. Help is on the way in the form of Stephen A. Somebody's got to start the slow clap. Thoughts on Stephen A. getting the endorsement of Donald T? I mean, clearly that's going to put him over to that's what's going to put him over the top, right? I would imagine.
It reminds me of when we were having a tragedy, and Dave Chappelle made a joke that, hey, the 9/11 tragedy. Anyone see the joke where it's like 9/11 people, we just lost people, and they're doing this somber news conference, and the guy says, hey, here with some words, we got Ja Rule on the phone, ladies and gentlemen. And Dave Chappelle ended up turning into a joke, like, I'm crying. I don't want to hear, I don't want to dance. And this is the particular case. And this is a man who, this isn't sports. This isn't, loud taking. And what's interesting is if you heard it, Trump said something very interesting. I think you know, he'd be good. He's good at entertainment.
Yeah. That's what we've devolved to now.
He didn't say he's good at politics. He's a great thinker. So maybe if President Trump sees that, you know, all it takes to be president in the United States is be a good entertainer.
Hey, it worked for him, right? I mean, what was his claim to fame? He was a real estate guy, but he was most known for being the apprentice, you know, that you're fired guy. And that's what's actually propelled him to being where he is today. But help is on the way. Stephen A is coming to rescue us all. Yeah.
What do you think about Stephen A? Like seriously, from a voice, from a black leader, from a, you know, I know.
Don't use the word black leader and Stephen A in the same sentence, please. Let's refrain from that. First of all, Stephen A is what he is, which is a articulate sports announcer who is bombastic, and he figured out what, and I don't know if people that follow sports, he is the black version of what Mad Dog Russo used to be for sports talk radio in the New York area. And you know, somebody yells, has these hot takes, and people they gravitate to that. So they like that you know, that loud. That's why we have this president that we have. The people like that loud, what do they call it? Loud and wrong. Just that loud, bombastic. So I can't take this seriously. I don't know how much longer I can discuss this with a straight face, to be honest with you. But the sad thing is that it could happen because we see the circus has come to town. We've already got the head guy clown in the office now, and I guess he's bringing the rest of the clowns along for the show. All right, let me get off of that before I say something that gets me on some list somewhere.
You know, listen, I you know where I'm going. Trump know he's not leaving.
Exactly.
So he knows he's not leaving. So all of that, oh yeah, he should run. Listen, we will, God willing, be here. Now, I'm going to be broadcasting from somewhere else. I told y'all, you know, hey, if you understand, that says Exodus. Exit us. Exit US. It's pronounced Exodus. I'm going to be somewhere else. But I will be broadcasting, and Curtis will be broadcasting, God willing. And what we're going to be saying is, look, it's 2028 and President Trump is still the president. That's my bet. That is what I'm willing to stand on. And I know people might be like, oh, this is crazy. He'll be out, admit that. But he knows he is not going anywhere. His base knows he is not going anywhere. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen to create it, but that man ain't leaving.
Y'all saw the hats. We talked about the hats, right? He's sporting the Trump 2028 hats already. Yeah, so he ain't planning to go nowhere, in case you didn't know. Newsflash, he ain't trying to go nowhere. But anyway, but Stephen A is offing in the fringes there to rescue us.
Curtis,
I do want to.
You know what I want you to cue up on that, the Rubio thing and the Waltz thing, because we talked about this. I really want the opinion of this guy, Mike Waltz, who he's the one who let the journalists in. If you guys don't know about, what was that, Curtis? Maybe a month ago?
Yeah,
that signal gate.
Month now.
Yeah. So Mike Waltz, who's in the Trump administration, ends up being the one who let the journalists in, who had that military leak.
Right.
Now, we thought it was Hegseth. Now, Hegseth was on the call, but he wasn't the leak. So apparently, Curtis, Mike Waltz has not been fired. What has happened to Mike Waltz?
This is probably, as I would describe it, reshuffling the chairs on the Titanic. So we've seen it now a couple times, because Hegseth's guy, last week we talked about Hegseth's chief assistant being removed from his job, but then being slid into a special employee status. So he didn't get fired. He just got removed from where he was and shuffled over to the other side to do that. And this seems like it's the same thing, where, you know, he's been removed from the administration, but they just moved him to a different place. And then they just let Marco Rubio say, all right, well, you're not doing, you know, you don't have that much to do as in your current job. So we'll make you the UN National Security Advisor as well. You know, the guy that flies all over the country and talks to different countries. That's what Rubio should be doing. But now he's going to also have to kind of serve as the National Security Advisor. And I've heard newscasts talk yesterday talking about National Security Advisors, the guy that's usually in Washington, D.C., who has the ear of the president to let him know of the global pitfalls that might be out there. So how's he going to do both? But we should not be concerned, because Hegseth made sure that his wife and his brother and his personal attorney were also on the Signal chat. So, I'm sure he's getting some good advice from those people. Plenty
of good reinforcements. The wife.
Absolutely. I'll just be honest with you that I'm just getting tired of talking about. I mean, we kind of hit on it last week. It's tough to have to go through all this, because I would be somewhere in a corner, somewhere chilling. But we feel responsible to kind of bring our audience what's going on. That means we got to pay attention to it. But that means we got to delve into this stuff and get into the muck and mire. And it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant.
It's not.
I'm exacerbated.
That's why we were so happy to talk about Captain Traore. When we get to talk about some of the lighter topics, it's always good, because what's going on here at the home front, from a national security standpoint, this man is now being removed. It's kind of like you did a job so horribly that you got promoted. Hey, now you're gonna be because the new position, UN ambassador. It's not like we put you in Saskatchewan somewhere on a remote. Hey, we're gonna keep you in administration. You're still very important to us,
right?
And so the things on the home front are not fun. But if we don't know how this administration is shaking things up, if we don't know why the policing in our neighborhoods, in our communities, in our states is going to change right before our eyes, then again, like we said last week, we're in trouble. And but for sure. And look, I don't know why we don't get we try to report independently. Trust me, like we had one guy, I guess he came. Remember the guy, he popped into the show, Get Black With Me, and everybody remembers him. And he said, listen, if this is just a Trump bashing channel, then I'm out. I said, well, listen, we are trying to just report what's happening. Right. If you can make light of this, let's do it. Type in, tell us something. We need ammunition from you, buddy, because we can't find it. We can't find the positives here. Now, if the thing works in the long run, if you giving police more power works in the long run, then great. Let's figure that out. But in the short term, everything we are seeing looks bad. We got people who've lost chunks of their retirement savings in the market, like people who are going to retire later this year or next year, who lost 10% of their retirement savings and larger, depending on what they were invested in. How do you tell them, oh, it's all right? These things do not have a good, as much as we're trying to find some good in it. So please, if anybody knows any people who are big Trump people, who are policy people, who are who can shed some light. We didn't talk about it, but I think we're going to hint on it. Guys, if you don't, I want everyone to go to Google or YouTube and pull up supply chain. Everyone who's in the supply chain business said we have a tsunami on its way to us. It's already on its way.
Right.
The water is already pulling away from the shore. What does this look like? We have ships on their way to America that are 40% empty. 40% empty. This is, let me just, you know, and for anyone following this story, you can tap in with us. Let us know what you've seen in the comments. 40% empty means out of the billions of goods we're used to getting, there's a void there. Right. That means all of those shelves. And what they're saying is, America, y'all better prepare in 2 to 7 weeks. Reports say as quick as 2 weeks, no more than 7, you are going to walk into your stores and the shelves are going to be empty. Shelves that you typically always stop. Nope. Damage is done. Irreversible. There's a gap in the supply chain because of the tariff policy. It's already happening. Ships had to leave. We can't wait for people to make a deal. I called Curtis how many minutes before the show, Curtis, to tell you about the live talk from the Singapore.
Singapore. It was probably like 10 minutes, not even maybe.
Minutes before the show, the Prime Minister of Singapore is speaking, saying we are cutting all trade with U.S. Cut. We are not doing any trade with the U.S. This is a problem coming to us that is not going to be, oh, yeah, it's okay. No, this is going to affect us in ways we've never had to experience as Americans, walking into stores and seeing rows and rows of empty shelves.
I guarantee he's going to be, that's Biden. He's going to say that's Biden. That's Biden. You heard he say that. He said he said the other day, that's Biden's. He's still trying to call Biden's name. I'm like, Biden's name shouldn't even be in your mouth no more. Why are you even calling his name anymore? Because you're the president, and a reporter actually had said that to him. But I think Trump, somebody has told him that if you just say it enough times and loud enough and just repeat it enough times, that'll make it true. But anyway, so Get Black With Me says, and we've seen the Congresswoman Mace, who cussed out a constituent. Nancy Mace, if I'm correct in that, has been trashed for a while. Y'all may have recalled she got into it with I think she was the one that called Crockett, Congressperson Crockett called her out to go fight outside. I believe that was the same Nancy Mace that said that she wanted to go out and basically fight with Jasmine Crockett. So she's been trashed for a while, and that's where the importance of the midterms come in, is to get these kind of people out. You got to primary them. You got to find people that are willing to serve and get behind them. That's why they say all politics is local, or it starts locally, because you have to.
I do them every year.
Who you got?
We got Nancy Mace.
Oh boy, I haven't actually even seen this, so let it go. Let's see this.
Okay.
Apparently, she had an interaction with a constituent. That's what they call, right, Curtis?
Yes.
Check this out. Check out how it went.
Do you want to keep going, keep harassing me? You could have gone to a dozen town halls last year. Yeah. I've already done one. I'll do plenty more. You're always invited. And by the way, I voted for gay marriage twice.
Oh my God! What? He asked if she was having a town hall.
So it has everything to do with you.
You think everything about me has to do with gay
I
marriage?
do.
Wow.
If you want to get in my face about town halls, you should have shown up to one last year.
Wow.
Yeah, because you're getting in my face about a town hall. You could have gone last year. Would you like me?
any plans to have more town hall this year?
I have town halls every year. I have over a dozen every year.
Great. That was my entire question. You didn't have to
Yeah.
answer the spiel.
You could have come to any of them last year.
And
I had
asked me
over a
about this year, not
dozen.
2024.
Where were you the year before that? Or the year before that?
It was a simple
Oh,
question.
because you know what? Because you people on the left are crazy. You're absolutely
Here we go.
I'm absolutely
you are. Get out of my face. Goodbye. Here.
You're
Yep,
gonna be voted
bye.
out so fast this year.
I'm not.
She said F him.
Yeah. And but you know what? She didn't have to say it for us to know that she felt it, because she's acting like it. She's not. She and a bunch of her colleagues in Congress are not doing their jobs. They're not serving the people. They're not looking out for the needs of the people that elected them into office. So of course it's FU, because everything she's doing is reinforcing that mindset. I can't. I'm sorry.
I
was
just
in
gotta
such
play
a
this
good
part
mood.
one more time.
Absolutely.
I was in such a good mood until you started playing. Oh my goodness.
It has to everything to
I just gotta play this part again. How quick did
be
she?
done one. I'll do plenty more.
It's a simple question.
You're always invited.
Okay, sweet. Well,
And
then
by
that's
the
an
way,
actual
I voted for gay marriage twice. So I'm just
My man said, "Wait,
Out the blue, right?
wait." It's kind of like talking to a black person and say, "Hey, and I believe in Dr. King."
And I supported Black Lives Matter. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh man, and oh wow.
I
Wow.
can't with Nancy Mace.
You brought that up.
Nancy Mace.
What? So
she is the epitome of mayonnaise.
for those that don't know, we got a term we're running with. We're always going to give credit to cerebral pugilist.
Yes, that was a cerebral pugilist, I believe it was.
Pugilist for the term mayonnaise. I don't know if that you came up with it.
I can never forget that now. I can never forget it.
Credit for bringing it to This Week in Black America, because that is a gem. But
I really feel like we should copyright that, mayonnaise, and make T-shirts.
You need to run with that. Listen,
Absolutely.
Like you need to run with that. Put that. Listen, you figure that out, because that's beautiful. But this is on a serious note. I'm trying to gather myself, because I can't really believe what's happening. It almost feels like we're in a simulation, and one day, like Ashton Kutcher is gonna come out. Hey guys, this was all. You've all been punked, But that's what it feels like.
It does. It does.
We put in power. Our tax money pays them. And this is how they're speaking to us. It doesn't matter if we disagree. It does not matter if we have a difference of politics. In what day and age is it okay for you to speak to someone like this publicly and still have a job, still have your position? They didn't want Barack Obama smoking cigarettes. The man wore a tan suit. Crucified.
Yeah.
We can curse you out in public on video and be in the chamber tomorrow. You can't make this stuff up.
Listen, speaking of getting punked, I want to move into, we only got a little bit of time here. I want to get some quick hitters in there. Of course, we had the NFL draft last weekend, and Shedeur Sanders was a name that was prominent in the discussion of people that were going to be highly touted in the draft. And we'd heard a little bit beforehand that, there were some reports that he was kind of arrogant, if you will. He didn't maybe have the right attitude, I guess, when he went to meet with teams. And long and short of it is that instead of going in the first round, as his numbers, his college numbers shown that he probably should have, he dropped not out of the first round, but also out of the second, also out of the third, unheard of, also out of the fourth, and actually didn't get picked into the fifth round. Now, that in and of itself is not the crime, because Tom Brady, who many believe to be the greatest quarterback ever, was actually drafted in the 6th round and went on to have a huge career. Now, the problem is that there weren't the high expectations for Tom Brady coming out of college. There are or were for Shedeur Sanders. And I want to say, first of all, a couple good things about this. I'm proud of the way he's handled himself in this because, first of all, he's been leaning on his faith. When he initially found out that he dropped out of the first round, even out of the whole first day there are clips of him professing that this is all in God's hands. And somebody that shows that kind of faith, I appreciate that. So that made me root for him. What we're also seeing is that his fans are kind of coming to his support, and you see the business mind that his father has ingrained in him. He's taking ownership of selling his own his jersey only on his website, or he's trying to direct all his fans to purchase his jersey through his website, which apparently is cutting out the NFL and maybe putting all the profits in his pocket as opposed to the NFL, which I think is great. I like this young man. I'm rooting for him. Your thoughts on the reason I brought up the prank piece is because we also saw him get pranked on the night of the draft when somebody called them pretending to be the GM of my team, the New Orleans Saints. Not my team as in I owe them, but my team as though I root for them. And the NFL came down on them with basically a $350,000 fine, $250,000 to the team, and $100,000 to the coach who allowed the information to be compromised. Any thoughts on Shedeur?
Well, I want to play this clip. If for those of you who don't know, this was the prank.
Yeah, this is actually the prank.
Prank. Now, this is the son of the man who was fined $100,000. And correct me if I'm wrong, co-host, he doesn't make a lot of millions. I think his salary, can someone pull up the salary of this gentleman who is his father? He definitely ain't happy, but here's the prank.
The GM of the New Orleans Saints. How you doing?
He said he's the GM of the New Orleans Saints.
This is Mickey Loomis here, GM of the Saints.
How you doing?
Good, how are you, man?
Good, been waiting on you.
Yeah, we have. It's been a long wait, man. We're going to take you with our next pick right here, man.
This ain't gonna be nothing there.
But you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, man. Sorry about that.
And then they banged on him. Told him we're going to take you with the next pick. He said, oh, that's cool. He said, we've been waiting. You're going to have to wait a little longer. Banged on him. That is a $450,000 prank. $350, right, Curtis, to the team?
$250 to the team, $100 to him. So $350.
$350. That prank cost $350.
So
and in reference to, you know, the handling, you know, we asked for everyone watching, what do you think about how the NFL handled the Shedeur Sanders situation concerning him being projected, as you said, Curtis, to go definitely, some said top 5. Right. I mean, people who said he's arguably one of the top 5 best in the draft, definitely saw him going top 10. Not even in the first round, the third round, he doesn't go until the 5th round. There's no way there's not collusion here, in my opinion. It feels very much Colin Kaepernick-ish.
Right. Yep.
Whether you support what Colin Kaepernick did or not, we know that there was league-wide collusion to make sure he did not get a job.
Right.
In this particular case, it looks like we're going to humble this young man, which is weird because we've seen plenty of white quarterbacks. I mean, some of you've seen the video of Eli going viral throughout the week. Why? Because he did the same thing. His dad said he doesn't want to play for the Chargers. At the draft, they asked him, well, what happens if they call your name? You know, well, we're going to handle it when it comes.
Right.
He didn't. The Chargers drafted him. He did not want to play for the Chargers, and he did not play for the Chargers.
Forced to trade.
Forced to trade.
Yep.
So we've seen this. We've seen white, arrogant quarterbacks come in. And in questioning whether he's arrogant or confident, I don't take him as arrogant. I think he's even more humble than his dad, even though they are very confident. Dion could be called arrogant. He continues to call himself confident. And I know in America and including in the world, we have a problem with confident, independent black men.
Right.
We have a problem with men who own their own resources and say, look, I got a business here that's going to run whether you hire me or not. I got a celebrity about me that even if I don't get drafted, I guarantee you I'm going to be fine in this world. We have a problem with that. So they decide we're going to make an example of this young man. No one can draft him to the 5th round. No one can draft him to the 5th round. And for my team, the Giants, I told my dad, I said, listen, I'm always going to be a Giant fan. But it is becoming much more clear that we do not want a black leader on our team.
Nope.
Y'all got Russell Wilson. It's becoming very clear we do not want a black leader on our team.
Not at all.
I'm going to say that again. Y'all got Jameis Winston. It's becoming very clear we don't want a black leader on our team. These are short-term contracts. These are funds. When we had a chance to draft Dwayne Haskins, we passed on him. Rest in peace. He's now since passed. When we had a chance to put Geno Smith at the helm, we kept him on the bench. So
no, that cost Jerry Reese's job, I think, when they put Geno Smith in.
Tons of we had Tyrod Taylor 2 years ago. Came in, played a couple games, was the best quarterback of the season. Nah, we got to cut him. This is the New York Giants, and I can't speak for any other team, but it is becoming very clear that this is an establishment. But what I love, to end my point on this, is Shador is winning. Doesn't matter. Selling the jerseys on his website, making the profit directly for the jerseys, seeing the jersey sales go up because y'all tried to persecute me, I'm still winning. And I still got the job. And I still get to come in and show y'all, hey, anyone who passed on me, you're lost. I still get an opportunity to show up. So I think even with the NFL being who they are, doing a public, buck breaking right in front of our eyes, Shador is still holding the cards. And I think I wish him the best. And I think we're going to see, hopefully, he makes a lot of people regret how they handled this in the last week. What do you got? Anything else on that?
That's basically it. His only crime is confidence, and that's okay. I'm getting a little iffy on the NFL again. I did boycott the NFL for the year after Kaepernick, and I've come back since then, but not with the same kind of interest. Now I'm more like a lukewarm follower of the NFL. I'll watch my team if they're on. I want to follow them, but that's about it. So I'm not as the NFL's not as big for me. Really, a couple real quick ones because I know our time is actually up here, but couple quick hitters. So while we're on the NFL, kudos. 2 weeks in a row, Jalen Hurts gets into the rotation here. First of all, he went viral last week for his reaction when he was asked whether he was going to the White House. You all know, you should know, that the champions of most sports get invited to the White House. In recent years, in the first Trump administration and this, it's become more of a controversial thing. But he was asked by a reporter last weekend if he was going to the White House, and it went viral because he really didn't answer. He just kind of made a couple faces, looked away, kind of and it was, his answer was obvious by his not answer. And then more praise to him because when the team did actually go, unlike your boy Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts had a scheduling problem that allowed him to miss, that forced him, unfortunately, to miss the trip to the White House. Now, I'm sure it broke him up that he was unable to arrange his schedule to be there. But your boy Saquon, I guess took over, went golfing with the president and all that, and he got into some controversy around that. But more power to Jalen Hurts for standing on business, as the young folks say. Another one.
Why, Saquon? Why? We believed in you.
Listen.
We were rooting for you. It's Tyra Banks. That's America's Next Top Model back in the day. We all believed in you.
Speaking
what are you doing? How out of touch? You're young. You got social media. What's going on? How are you out of touch? You can't be that out of touch to understand. Oh, I'm just golfing with him.
Yeah. A couple of other quickies. You actually brought this to my attention this morning. And it seems a little, well, let me just give you the story. I'm not going to position it at all. T.D. Jakes, the founder and bishop of the Potter's House down in Dallas, Texas, has announced his intention to step down as the senior pastor of the Potter's House. That's all I'm going to give you. What you got on T.D. Jakes?
Guys, this past Sunday, T.D. Jakes made the decision that he is stepping down as pastor of the Potter's House. Now, that might not sound like news or why it's news, but the Diddy trial starts May 5th. Now, for those of you who may not know, T.D. Jakes' name has been
come up.
Associated. It's come up and it's associated with Diddy and parties, and we've seen him in a video. And
he was Bible studying with Diddy. That's what he was. He was there to do Bible studies with Diddy. Y'all are getting this all wrong.
They needed the clergy.
They needed somebody that had the prayer for the food, and they invited him to do that.
I'm curious, and I like to know what everyone thinks. We got a new co-host checking in, Mrs. Doralisa. Good to see you.
Okay.
I'm curious as to what everyone thinks about this. I mean, the timing couldn't be more off. He said his reasoning was, I'm going to step down because I don't want anything. For those of you who may not know, he did have a heart attack, I believe,
yes.
A few months back.
Yes.
And he said he doesn't want that to happen again.
No.
I don't want to be up here one day preaching and God forbid something happens to me. So I'm going to turn this over to my daughter.
Yeah.
3 days before the Diddy trial starts.
Yeah.
So what do we think? Do we think he is implicated in the trial? Do we think he is a witness in the trial? Look. Get Black Whitney said he was there laying hands. He's there laying hands.
Oh, Lord help me. Yes, he was laying some hands, apparently. And anointing with baby oil, apparently. Allegedly.
Different anointing oil.
Different anointing of the oil, apparently.
Pass me the oil. There's your other oil, son. No, not that oil. This is what do we think? Is this, what do we think we're going to see happen with T.D. Jakes? Do we think he took a deal? Is he testifying against Diddy? Why would he be trying to step down from the Potter's House? And as we talked about, Curtis, you're not stepping down from the business empire.
Right. He's still running the businesses.
I guarantee we still going to be seeing him on the news stations and on the interviews and all this stuff. But what do we think?
Yeah. Clearly, they're giving a new definition to anointing with oil. Listen, I'm not. I don't know that I'm going to kick the man when he's down, but I will. It's suspicious, and my skeptical nature just won't allow me to believe that he might move to Nigeria. He might need to. I don't know. Does Nigeria have an extradition treaty with America? He may need to go somewhere where there's a non-extradition type situation. But
they'll be happy to give him a church out there because there's always going to be a group of people that are so wrapped up in there. You could come and you could be fresh off a scandal. It still smell. You still smell of scandal, and they'll be right in church. That's why we could have somebody sit here one week in the pulpit and say, "God showed me this, y'all," and then it doesn't happen. And the next week,
He showed me something different.
Same people in the seats. He just listen. Open up your Bibles to the book of John. We're gonna talk about loving our neighbor and forgiving. And it's people. So I mean, there's very little accountability in the church, and other than people leaving. But as long as these people have an audience, have a flock, have sheep that want to be led astray, that are open to just being led, they're gonna have an audience. But I want to see, are we going to see TD Jakes potentially go to jail, or are we going to see him as a witness against Diddy to try to save his own behind? I'm curious.
Oh, my goodness. Ms. Darlisa, wow. Coming in firing shots, huh?
Woo! Jakes is doing a lot of swallowing.
Okay.
Back the fear of being exposed. Woo. Well, listen, they told me don't mess with a man of the cloth. We're going to let God
listen,
handle it.
I'm going to let God handle it because,
We're going to let God handle him.
I think there's somewhere in the Bible that those who are leading the flock are going to be judged more harshly, which is one of the reasons why I've run away from that task kind of my whole life. But anyway. I'm not going to beat the man while he's down. Any final thoughts you got today? I mean, we went over a little bit because there's just so much going on, man. When I'm putting together these shows, I'm like, I looked up at one point and I had 5 pages worth of stuff. And I was like, oh, that's a little too much. And there's still stuff that we could have talked about that we didn't have a chance to talk about. But for this week in Black America, what's your final thought? Oh, I feel like I need to put Bob Marley on. But I don't know. We probably get in trouble for playing it.
No, I'm gonna play it as we wrap up our final 3 minutes. As we wrap up, because we're trying hard to get to the point where we can wrap it up at the 1:30 Eastern Time hour. But sometimes we having so much fun.
Yeah,
it goes a little longer.
But wait, Get Black With Me asked if we saw Sinners.
Oh.
Yes, yes, we both saw it.
Did they cross the 100 million?
I don't know. I haven't kept up with that particularly.
I think we should be here.
We're close though.
We should be close to the 100 million. This proves, I am so happy you brought this up, Get Black With Me, because you need to go see Sinners. It's an awesome movie, front to back. It is don't take the kids. No. It is not a kid-friendly movie. But it is a movie that has a great storyline. Michael B. Jordan does an incredible job. Incredible job. All the actors do an incredible job. And what this proves for me, y'all, is that the lane for Black directors, Black leads, Black writers is wide open.
Yes.
Because we are proving now this ain't no Tyler Perry thing. That's all. You got to make this type of movie.
Right.
Get Black people to come out. Listen, Ryan Coogler proved when when everything they've done. I mean, Black Panther, Creed, these are box office hits with Black leads. This opens up the door for us to write our own movies, produce our own movies, star in our own movies, direct our own movies, make hundreds of millions of dollars, because I'm curious how Ryan Coogler's name is all over this and he's making all of these hit movies, but his net worth ain't nowhere near James Cameron.
Right.
I mean, not saying obviously James Cameron's a legend. He's got a lot more under his belt, but I mean, you got a lot already. Why is your net? And I know I don't trust network.com or whatever like that, but he should already be up there in the approaching the hundreds of millions because he is that good. But again, I pray that the other people who are in this field see that everything we were trying to pitch to Hollywood that they didn't want, or they didn't want us to put it out because they couldn't control it. It's all wide open right now, because now we're going to get to the point where people who are investing in movies start looking for black leaders and black writers and black people, because now we're making hits. All you got to do is make a great movie. If you make a great movie, not only are black people going to come out, and Hispanics and Asians, but everyone's going to come out to see that great movie. And that's what Sinners is doing right now. What do you think?
Ryan Coogler has shown himself to be a genius, and I saw him actually some clips on social media of him this week kind of breaking down the aspect ratio of how he filmed this and the revolutionary way that he actually filmed this. I had to turn it off, in all honesty, because I was confused. I just want to go see the movie. But he broke down that this is the only movie that is using these different aspect ratios that kind of allow you to go into the picture more and feel it more. What I want to do is actually go see this. This is one of those films that was designed to go see in IMAX, where apparently there are scenes in the movie. You know, there's this one scene in the movie specifically where there is a lot of action. Yes. A lot of action. That's all I'm saying. And if you're in an IMAX theater, there's touting the shaking and the movement of an IMAX experience as to be the best way to experience this. So if you haven't seen Sinners yet, go see it. You owe it to yourself. It's one of the best movies that's been made, period. One of the best movies that's been made. And if you're a little afraid of the horror stuff, I'm not a horror movie person myself. It's really not that. It really isn't that. It is a part of it. It's a component of it. But the experience is broader than that. Yeah. So
it's not the traditional gore or jump scares, like jump scares every second. Yes. It does stay true to the genre it's in. And my God, to find the box office, it was like I'm trying to find Waldo. Like normally,
I know. Normally they got it blasted all over, right?
I'm just over here typing. Y'all see me?
I was doing the same thing.
Hey, where's the box office money? How much has it made? How much has it made?
It's not even putting it out there.
They're not even putting it out there. But look what we find. Now look, this thing is hidden and not in plain sight. But I find one case. Did y'all see that? Literally $181 million globally in 2 weekends.
Wow.
That is amazing. Clap it up for Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, the entire cast. You made something that will probably, in a short period of time, cross the $1 billion mark. Because that is crazy.
Let's clap it up for black folks. Because we are leaving our mark on this world.
Soul clap.
Absolutely. Listen, Black America, I love us. I say that to myself probably on average 2 or 3 times a week. I love my people because we are just such a rich culture. Our people are funny. We've learned to live through the worst set of circumstances, and we're still here. We're still standing upright. We still got a good spirit about us for the most part. And listen, they're trying their best, giving us their best shots to take that oomph, that thing that's special about us, and to kind of beat it out of us. Don't succumb to it. We are a unique people. And whether this country wants to admit it or not, this country wouldn't be this country without us. And if they ever get rid of us, they're going to find out. That's going to be one of those FAFO moments. And a lot of people are having those moments now. But I love my people. I love our audience. Love the fact that we get to share this time with you each week. Tune in with us every Friday at noon.
Hold on, I can't let you wrap up yet. I got to share one more funny thing because you said something about how great we are, right? And how great we are, and the fiber of what we bring to culture, and we're funny. So check this out, Wendy's. One of us is running the Wendy's social media. So check out what happened this week. So this brother said, Lord, Give me strength to make this drive home without stopping at the Wendy's to get a junior bacon cheeseburger and Frosty. And Wendy's tweets out, Lord, take away his strength. If that ain't us, there is no mayonnaise person that is writing that writing that response. So again, we are the fiber. If these corporations are smart, they are looking for us to run their social media, to be in their commercials, to write their commercials, because they cannot talk the language of culture and move things forward like we are. So I just wanted to share that. We are the essence. We're the salt of the earth. And when you take away the salt,
yeah, you get unseasoned chicken. You get raisins in the potato salad. Anyway, right. Listen, take us home. Love our black folks, love our audience, love each and every one of you that tune in with us each week, that have supported us from the very beginning. I know it's been a wild ride for the last 100 days plus, but we promise that we're going to be here with you to kind of take you through the ins and outs. We appreciate you joining us and enhancing our conversation every week. We learn from you as much as you learn from us, maybe even more, frankly. But we love the engagement. Again, next week, noon, 12 o'clock, we'll be here for This Week in Black America. So glad to share the stage with my brother Deshone. Any final thoughts for you, brother, as we wrap things up for today on This Week in Black America?
No, this was fun. Thank you, everybody. If you haven't already, we invite you to subscribe. Tell your friends about us. We have a community here that we love, we value. As Curtis said, we have a lot of fun here. We make light of topics, which is what we do as a black culture. You know, we can, you know, brothers to be at a funeral and somebody to lighten the mood. That's what we do. And you know, it's always a pleasure. We look forward to seeing y'all next week here on This Week in Black America.